can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear? Yeah. Super. So yeah, Nicolai was right. I just literally came in. Luckily, I had been driven in a Mercedes Benz, so the guy just literally put the pedal to the metal and drove me in on time. I was delayed in the airport today for about 4 hours, and I always know that Danish people are meant to be super happy, but as soon as the delay happened, explosions happened. Very practical, but a lot of questions. So thankfully I'm in today. I was on the plane, and ironically this magazine was on SAS, and basically it says, please personalize the marketing message, and the article was super interesting. It was basically about Amazon now coming to the Nordics, and the thing that popped into my mind when I heard this is, were the Nordics worried about Amazon as business owners? Was Amazon a threat, or is any opportunity that Amazon can bring to the Nordics? So the first question, because the guy beside me didn't even know much about Amazon, in terms of like the opportunity of Amazon coming to the Nordics, does anybody know what opportunity that brings to Nordic countries? Okay, that's a good one-word answer.
Because like now, only 2% of all the revenue in Denmark comes from e-commerce. So, and of course, government people want to increase it good. So, and people are not using the opportunity to sell them on other sales channels.
Nice. Anybody else want to comment? Yeah, lady in the back.
Who's wanting to have some kind of warehouse, so they're waiting on jobs.
Excellent. With the warehouses, quite a lot of new jobs. Any negative spin for the current business owners, people selling the bricks and mortar companies in the Nordics? Pardon?
Increased competition for the local.
Increased competition. Anything else? Yeah.
We'll have the same issue like in Germany. When Amazon came to Germany, they took 40% of the e-commerce market. And the same will be in Denmark, even maybe more. And then all the people were issued a web shop, they will just move there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Undercutting people to say.
A bit louder, sorry.
I'm undercutting.
Undercutting the market, okay. Okay, one thing that popped out in this article was that there's something that Amazon has done well, and very well, for the last 10 years, and that is automation, the customer experience, the famous flywheel. Like you can see here, Amazon will never advertise this pair of shoes you bought for the same price to you again. Okay, so this is scary for maybe a lot of Norwegians or Danish that haven't actually looked after their data or used it in an effective or automative way. Okay, so just to kick off, guys, as founders, as startups, I think these two words, save time and scale, are words that you always hear. But the goal of today's conversation is really to get 2 to 3 takeaways on how you can do this as founders of the future, trying to build companies. The key and the opportunity today is understanding automation and inbound automation, and how you can use this in your day-to-day. Okay? So before we kick off, like any good conversation, it's very important to break the ice. So just as a show of hands, in the room, how many people are using something to automize their business? Okay. About 10%? John Nicolai. What are you using?
What?
What are you using?
Belgium?
Oh, not HubSpot.
No, I can't afford it.
Okay, and how many people in this room actually don't even know anything about automation before they came to this conversation today? Okay, that's great, pretty honest. Okay, and how many people want to know about automation? Okay. Okay, well listen, just to break the ice briefly, my name is Caragh. I was telling Crystal that I actually started my startup career in Spain. I did a becario, which is like a master's where you work for free, in Huayra, which was like a Telefonica investor. It was owned by Telefonica, but it was like an incubator, and I worked in a company called FindaSense, and I ended up, they ended up actually getting funded by Huayra. I ended up working for Huayra, and that was my taste of being in the startup world. At the time, I got a marketing role, and I was in a situation where I had a Dutch boss, didn't have a lot of money either, Nicola, and wouldn't give me a lot of money. And I came across, so what I used to do every day, I used to open like 15 different systems, and my only job was to generate leads for sales. And I couldn't get visibility into where the leads were coming from, where the money was, because I had Google AdWords, Banner Snack, DoubleClick, all these tools, but not speaking to each other. Eventually, I bought HubSpot, loved HubSpot, moved back to Ireland, and have been working there for the last 5 years in HubSpot in different teams. And now I currently work on this startup team, which is very focused on helping people like you grow in an area such as marketing, sales, and customer success, which for startups, you're super clever with products, getting your MVP, but then when it comes to selling, it's not always something, that it should be top of mind, but you've been focusing on other things. So, oops. Okay, so on the left and on the right, two very different images, okay? Has anybody seen these images before? Yeah? Okay, so on the left you've got the old kind of method of marketing, sales, and out pops the customer as the end result, okay? So almost an afterthought. Companies are meant to grow big, they're meant to go large, and then customers almost forgotten about at the end of the funnel. This is obviously moving in a kind of automated way, but this is called the flywheel. So this is the Amazon model, where you buy a product, then you get nurtured, you buy another product, then you buy an add-on, then you recommend your friends, you give feedback, and this flywheel starts growing momentum, and the business grows. What is at the core of this flywheel? Does anybody want to give a guess? The customer. So still the top number one person to give you business is word of mouth. So this is food for thought, maybe something that you can look at afterwards, but a very interesting model, okay? So starting a company has never been easier. Okay, when HubSpot started 14 years ago, it was an automation tool. There was 6 other automation tools on the market. Now there's 6,000 different types of software to create this flywheel. So it's very easy to get free tools, start a company, but it's very difficult to actually grow. Would you agree? Few heads nodding. So yeah, with so many options to get started, it's very difficult to get started correctly. So when I moved, I used to work with enterprise companies who had a lot of money, and then I moved and then I moved to the startup team, and I was meeting people who didn't have a lot of time, didn't have a lot of money, and they were always busy. And I bought a small puppy at the time, and they reminded me of puppies because they were running over here, running over there, and then they'd have like 15 tools, and they'd be managing tools as opposed to managing their business, okay? So getting started correctly is extremely important. So understanding automation and how to develop it early days within your business model will solve for a lot of problems, hopefully, in the future. Okay, so today, focusing on 4 simple things. What is marketing automation? The anatomy of the workflow, some examples, lead nurturing, and why is this all important in a practical way? Okay? Okay, so the learning objectives is how do we actually manage the data that we have? How do we actually execute on a good workflow for the business in a practical way? And finally, how do we use workflows to internally automate our business with the sales team, the marketing team, just ourselves, our customers, and how can that work? So what is marketing automation? So you guys had a very good introduction from Nicola and Mel, is it? The lady May.
Yeah.
Sorry, my pronunciation is very bad. And May obviously gave a great talk. I looked at it on the flight. But does anybody want to hesitate or give a guess as to what their definition of marketing automation is? No? Nicolai?
Using software to automate marketing processes. That would be my guess.
Okay.
That's at least how I understand it.
Yeah, and there's no wrong answer. I mean, I was in a room, actually, I had to think about automation recently, but I was in a room about 3 years ago and I said it to a guy. And he was like, to remove humans from the process and make it all machine operated. And in a way, like that's what it could mean. But in 2019, what automation can mean is really developing the customer experience in a way that saves you time, that saves you money, and increases your customer satisfaction primarily, and then obviously your company. So marketing and automation allows companies to both make changes in bulk and nurture prospects with highly personalized and useful content at the right time. Okay, but again, the customer is the focus, the lead is the focus, the prospect is the focus. 3 purposes. So we always say the ROI is in your contacts. So when you have that email and you're able to put it in the right direction, this is going to kind of start the return fast. Lead nurturing, obviously. Has everybody heard of lead nurturing? That's good. And internal notifications. So one of the favorite with the sales team, when I started, the sales team was only about 10 people. Now there's a corporate team who talk about corporate cafe, who's the buyer persona they need to go after. And their favorite internal notification from automation is when somebody views the pricing page and marketing sends them an internal notification and says, hey Corey, can you reach out to Caragh? She's looked at the pricing page, you know, set up a demonstration, set up a 15-minute conversation. So that's a really important, in real time, internal notification. So common database management use cases. Update personas. So has everybody created their personas already? That's okay. Does anybody know what a persona is? Yeah? Do you mind telling me?
It's creating examples of your potential customers, like how it should work, or like, I mean, when automating the steps and scoring how much would you do for critical actions the person will do. So that would be to contact them.
Exactly. And I would encourage small businesses to focus. When HubSpot started, we knew we had 3 potential people that we could go after. So we created Marketing Mary, who is your marketing persona in a small SMB. She was wearing all the hats. She was in line to the decision maker. And we had Corporate Kathy, who was the lady who had a marketing team, slightly more sophisticated, probably would buy more software off HubSpot. And then thirdly, we had Agency Ian, who essentially is great going into emerging markets, where the agency would resell HubSpot into Iberia, into Eastern European countries, because they had the language and they were there. So we had to select one to begin with, because we only had 4 people on our team. And do you know who we selected to start with? Start the process of, did we select Marketing Mary to sell to? Did we select Enterprise Aaron to sell to? Or did we select Agency Ian to sell to?
Marketing Mary.
Marketing Mary, why is that good?
I guess as a new startup at that point in time, you were relatively young. I guess the decision making, the processes for you would be easier in a small company, and then you move upscale. It's at least a bit one of the classic ways to get your product right. It's easier to start small and go up. Many do that. That would be my guess.
No, 100% right. So we needed to grow, we needed to scale. We couldn't scale by going after 3 different markets. Marketing Mary was close to the decision maker. She was using the product, so we sold to her. Still to this day, the sales team will talk about Marketing Mary on the small business team. The corporate team will talk about Corporate Kathy. The AP side, which is the partner program, will talk about Agency Ian. And we've developed more personas over time. And we've developed personas we don't want to go after, so negative personas. So that's something you can think of too. Indian bot was one that was created recently, and not on our team, but someone else's team. So these are the common ways that you actually manage, I suppose, your database. Okay, so the lead nurturing cases. There are hundreds of thousands, but like the different ways, like the page view example I gave you, the abandoned shopping cart, when someone leaves, you say, hey, why did you leave? The goodbye notification, let's break up because you haven't been interacting with my emails. There's a ton of different actions that you can take. to nurture your contact database. Okay, so the common internal notification cases would be you notify your sales team based on form submission. It's usually bottom of the funnel, which means like it's a high hand raiser. Somebody's requested a demo, a free trial, an RFQ.
Request for proposal.
Request for quotation or an RFI, request for information. So like they're the kind of form submissions you'd hand on to sales. The main thing is that you're getting to the right person at the right time, and you're actually responding to that person and their needs at the right time. Okay, so I showed this to a marketing person this morning, and she said that email is terrible. Who do you send it to? That would annoy me. And I was like, oh my God, Anya, that goes to the startup customers who don't become part of the program. And she said, I said, is it too American? And she just said, no, it's just awful. And I was like, it's too late to take out my example, but the example here is that when you apply on the HubSpot for Startups form, you select the criteria in order to participate in the HubSpot for Startups program, which supports startups with startup-friendly discounts and education. If you don't qualify, e.g. you're an Indian bot or you're not essentially a startup, not an Indian bot, but you will receive this email, which is essentially populating your name. It's populating how to help you further, and all these ways keep the person moving in the right direction and help them. Okay? So an example of an internal notification, you set up your criteria here, your job title, your owner, your CEO, your president, who you want to contact, and then this internal notification will go to sales. Okay, this is the company, these are the products they want, would you please reach out and send them an activation link. Okay? So let's just go to the anatomy of a workflow. This will be interesting. So again, Bill Murray, I hate it when a website greets me with a pop-up window. It just feels like you should say hi first, maybe buy me a drink. Is anybody using pop-ups in the room? All right, great. Well, okay.
We know anyone.
Okay, so it's really important that you're delivering the right message at the right time. So again, when someone comes to the website, you're not saying, discount, buy now. It's like, how can I help you? The person will respond. You set them into a workflow with different actions to nurture them through the workflow. Okay? So again, if it's someone looking for, does anybody want to give me an idea of what their current startup is, just so we can use it as an example? You're talking a lot.
Amazon Consulting Agency.
Tell me?
Amazon Consulting Agency.
Oh,
so
nice.
we help companies to sell on Amazon.
Oh, wow, so you're like a reseller.
Not really, but you can say like this.
Oh, interesting, okay.
So actually the company has a product,
Yeah.
so we take care of the product. We take an individual approach to the company and we help them to sell on Amazon. So we take care of FBA and other things.
Nice, that's great. I've actually never heard that. Great idea. So yeah, so imagine I'm trying to be a seller on Amazon, and I don't know how to do it. So I come to this guy's website. I'm like, how do I approach this? They give me advice via a chatbot, but then they put me into a workflow where I receive tips on tricks of the topic that I was looking for, about how to resell on Amazon. So you're nurturing them down the funnel and into the flywheel. So again, very simply, right. So there's a lot of different ways that people can enter your database via form submission, via import, via integration. I think the main thing is that people's websites, very importantly, need to be alive. So need to have call to actions, lead capture forms, chatbots, and they need to be interacting with those leads or potential visitors, because that visitor may never come back if you don't capture their information the first time.
Oh yeah.
so the benefit of having, sorry, we did this automation at the last minute, so the David Beckham look was in 2 years ago when we were giving this example. So the individual contact record. What is the benefit of having an individual contact record? When you have that email, what can you do? Well, you can obviously start marketing, selling, and have them in a system which will allow all of your team to see what that person is doing via lead intelligence. So that data, I'm sure you've heard it a million times, is what you can use within your team to make sure you're actively. I had an example, but it's okay. So basically I had an example of a guy called Felix Lopez, and you can see all the actions that he's taken on the website. You can see what he's done throughout the different timeline. And then your sales team, your services team, yourself, you can follow up with that person via automated emails, via meetings links, via interactions, notes, etc. So I suppose the one thing is to ask who, what, and why. Okay, so what do we want to reach with automation? So people have lots of different ideas. They're like, let's do a lead nurturing flow, let's do this. But it's very important to understand, I suppose, number one, who you're going after, who your buyer persona is. Don't have too many. And number two, have an ultimate goal. And planning who to enroll is key to that goal. And the goal can happen at each individual timeline. Okay? So there's a workflow linking your subscriber to lead, to marketing qualified lead, opportunity, and customer. And what defines those people is very important to bring them the next step. So did you go through lead nurturing on the last?
Not in detail, no.
No? Okay. So yeah, we said the return on investment is in the contact. The contact comes into your system, and what needs to happen is this, okay? So this is some things. Anybody have plants in the room? Great. Is anybody notorious for killing the plants? More people than have plants. Okay. So yeah, like this is essentially, you're meant to nurture and not poison the actual contact, okay? So to nurture is making sure that they get the right things at the right time. So they subscribe to the blog, they download a white paper, and then eventually you reach out in terms of, can I help you with anything else? Can we talk about my products? How can I help you resell on Amazon? So delivering a great message is about the marriage of content and context. So again, identify your SMART goal for lead nurturing. You want to build your buyer journey. So my business, yes, is going after marketing Mary. My business, what does a lead look like? What does a subscriber look like? What does an MQL look like? A marketing qualified lead. And when do you pass that MQL to sales to work it? Maybe this is too early for you to think about, but it's still something you can build out, take it out of your head and put it into a system. Any free CRM will allow you to do this. So the buyer's journey, regardless of whether you're selling a windmill or a t-shirt, it can look very similar to this. And it's like when you're sick and you're online and you're looking for solutions and you find a blog post on this solution, how to sell via Amazon. And then you realize, okay, well, I want to be a B2C seller on Amazon for toilet paper with Trump's face on it, for example. That's made a lot of money. And then you go to the decision stage. Okay? So the decision stage then is I realize that this guy here can teach me how to sell that product super easy online. Okay? So can we click into this very briefly? So I was working with a triathlon company recently that used to bring people with professional athletes to like the Philippines, Hawaii, all these places to train like professionally for a few weeks. They were from Romania, the guys, the marketing team. They were probably one of the best marketing team I ever worked with. And they created, like we went through like how a workflow works and how to create it, and they came back, Romeo Ball, I think was his name. And he goes, Caragh, I've created the workflow, I've mapped it out. I said, oh yeah, show me, So can we go across, do you mind? So he started with everything. So he mapped out, everything. Everything. You can all look at this. And I was like, Jesus, we only had one call. Like, what? Like, does he have OCD? But, he executed on this. The key to this, and don't be afraid, you don't have to do something like this. But the key is actually, okay, thanks. Draw it on a whiteboard first. Talk to your team. Talk to your mother if you don't have a team, or whoever you need to actually comment as to whether it makes sense and give you feedback. Okay, we're nearly finished. 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Alright. So yeah, you can check that example out later, okay? Now a lot of people, it's very easy to talk about marketing automation, but what does it look like practically? So you saw the image of the triathlon team. So again, you need to understand what the person wants. So this is what it's going to look like in the back end. You set up your enrollment. The actual criteria is what you want to trigger the workflow. Companies like HubSpot, MailChimp, all have how many MailChimp has like 50 different contact properties you can use to trigger?
Yeah, a lot.
I'm
just an amateur.
But yeah, it's excellent in terms of triggering the actual communication. So it's not like you have someone's email address, you trigger a workflow. It's like they went on the page and viewed this, you triggered a workflow. Then they come back and on your page you say, welcome Caragh, welcome back. So you have all this lead intelligence. Then internally you send an email to your sales guy and say, look, Caragh was just on this page, can you reach out about this content? Personalize that process, not just, hi Caragh. Make this a kind of a personalized marketing message. What were they looking at? So you can send this to them again. And again, workflows will continue to nurture your prospects, and if they don't, break up with those prospects and move on to the next in terms of attracting the right people. Set your goal. Make sure you make it as logical as possible. Look back in terms of what worked. And again, make sure you break up with someone. Do not continue to nurture leads that aren't actually going to bring you business. It's okay to leave the deal on the table. A lot of startups tend to be afraid to do that because they're new companies. So, to wrap up, we've got a few auditing tactics. Again, the Nordics I find to be very logical people. So, build out your map, create your goal, reverse map the workflow in terms of goal, suppression lists, who shouldn't be on that workflow, and add information to your descriptions, and make sure that you look at the data and rinse and repeat essentially, and make it better. So to sum up, I think of about 2 minutes, I'm going to put this question to the room. What do all of these companies have in common? A few things they have in common, but just maybe one or two. Do you know these companies?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They're all unicorns.
They're all?
Unicorns.
Great, yeah. They actually, are they?
I don't know.
Oh, well, one of them is
Yeah.
in Stockholm. Subscription based, excellent. And what does the subscription based model mean? Bring you back to the Amazon idea at the start.
Reduce churn.
Reduce churn, good. Anything else?
Return customers.
Exactly, repeat customers, referrals.
You know who you're dealing with.
You know who you're dealing with?
Yeah, so you identify the unique person.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that I'm missing a little bit. I'm not known to the organization at all.
That's
I'm
okay.
missing the hook a little bit. How do you know that it's Clara that went to your site
Excellent.
if you never asked or she never
Excellent.
gave you the information?
Yeah, and that's why, this is why, does anybody know who Dollar Shaver Club was bought by recently? Unilever, yeah. Yeah. And that's the reason that they were bought by them, because these brands, I'm just conscious of time, but these brands, like when I get up in the morning, I sleep on a specific type of bed that all my friends sleep on. Like the same brand. You know.
She's Irish, right? So that's how it is.
I was on a 4-hour delayed flight. No, but I can't actually remember the name of the Casper. Sorry. But then I'll probably go, hey Alexa, play Spotify. My point, without digging myself a hole, is that these brands are built into my life. They're built into my day-to-day. I'll get an Uber, I'll get a Lyft, but they're tracking everything. They'll send me feedback forms. They'll ask me, did I like those pair of shoes? Here they are discounted. So they're built into my day-to-day existence, and all my friends use the same. These companies are only 3 to 4 years old. That's the other thing they have in common. So that's why Unilever would buy Dollar Shave Club, to get the data so they can use it to the advantage and actually get ahead in terms of what they were potentially behind with. So just to wrap up, guys, happy leads are the key to growth. So find out where they are and make sure that this flywheel is moving using that life cycle stage that I showed you. Key takeaways: I know startups have a lot of information in your head, not always like puppies, but you want information, you're trying to do the right thing. So keep it simple. Obviously build a system and process. Don't be too late to use a system. Get it out of your head into a system, and that system isn't a Google Drive or an Excel doc. Second, build trust and measure conversions. Friction is your friend. Don't be afraid, don't wait. HubSpot says get it 60% done, get it out the door and make it better. Don't overthink it. 3, match the way you market. You market and sell the way humans buy. I personally don't want to talk to people until the end of my buyer's journey. Again, if you're selling a t-shirt or a windmill, that's going to be different. Use marketing technology that grows with you. Don't be the startup with 15 different tools and you're managing software and not the business. You want visibility. When you're hiring, this is just one from when you go home and you want to know about the S-curve. You probably do know about it. So when you're hiring your first marketing person, give them the next S-curve. It's very practical when someone works with data and numbers, and that might help you as well when you're growing. Okay, so this is how we win, guys. And yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so we're a little bit delayed, so we take a very brief Q&A. 5 questions, and I think we get the pigeonhole up here. Maybe. Yeah. So, I guess Caragh and May, if you come up here.
Yep.
You are the experts. I'm just a main team guy. So, should we start with the AI, maybe? How will it change marketing organization? Anyone?
I've been talking for the last minute.
Well, then I will actually start. I will actually start very briefly. I bought a Lenovo computer last month. I went into the Lenovo website and I filled in, I had no clue, so I actually filled in this pop-up box that said, I have this need, high-end, blah, 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 which you use. Within 10 seconds I got this, you should have the Carbon X1. I actually didn't buy it. Afterwards I was in doubt. Was I actually chatting to a robot or was it a person? I think that's for me how marketing, how AI could change, because it's not impossible.
Well, normally when people say something AI, I tend to ask what do you mean with AI, because it's something that's used to describe, abundance of things. So what I think the person who asked this question means is how it can use to be more efficient in reaching people. And I think AI at some point can be used to, instead of you thinking, so based on these parameters, based on your behavior, I think you want this content now. So what AI could do is, I know you want this content now because 1,000 other people like you want that content at that time. So it will be able to do that, I guess, at some point. But I think, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit old school. I think you should focus, not wait for AI to do that for you and get the learnings yourself first.
Cool. Subways. You heard me. I've invested in that company. So, should we take the next question? If we can get back. Anas, you last. Sorry. Just because you're not invested in the company, you are. So, here's a question where Caragh is a little bit more, she can't really answer. So we give it to May. You are allowed to answer afterwards. Which marketing automation tool do you most often recommend?
So, presuming that you are in the start of your company journey,
We don't have money yet.
you don't have money yet, yeah. You need some money to have a marketing automation system and the features. I would recommend HubSpot. But I am not, I think it really depends as well on what CRM you have. So a lot of companies don't implement marketing automation before later in the stage. So they might have a CRM already, normally Salesforce, but there are also others. And what you want to have is a marketing automation system that complements your CRM and integrates very well with it. And that's not necessarily HubSpot in all cases. But if you're starting out and you're thinking about investing in marketing automation, it makes sense to invest in marketing automation where you also have a CRM and sales in it. So that's why I would say HubSpot.
Cool.
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah, the five-liner. Why HubSpot?
Why HubSpot for startups?
Yeah.
Well, HubSpot for startups gives you a significant discount and it gives you a free model to start with and grow with for sales, marketing, customer success. So it's all in one platform.
I agree.
Okay, so if we take the next one and actually keep with you and say, so here we have this early stage startup, single founder, you know, inbound versus outbound marketing, the first one up here. So why, maybe you're a little bit biased here, but inbound versus outbound marketing for early stage startups, what's your take on this?
I'm biased, but I would always say do both. Yet when I'm starting my team in HubSpot for startups, we want our sole job is to partner with incubators, accelerators, and VCs like PreSeed Ventures or Seed Capital. And I wanted to go after the elephants, like Techstars, Mass Challenge, and one of the elephants for me was Wayra. And we had great relationships with Wayra in Madrid, but Wayra Mexico no. So I created videos and started sending them to the points of contact on LinkedIn, and I got a great response, but that was outbound. So early days, if it's tactical and not offensive, I think, yeah, absolutely both. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it can be dangerous, as also one of my points, to rely only on inbound marketing in the beginning. I think you need to push it a little bit, and you can do outbound marketing that's not super annoying. If you apply the same ideas about targeting as you do with inbound marketing and relevant communication, you can do outbound well. I would also say you should have outbound sales. I'm not necessarily saying find something in the phone book and call them, but if you do outbound marketing and sales well in combination, this can be a really good way to scale initially, because inbound takes a while to build up.
Cool. Let's take a final question. So Anders? He's on Facebook right now. So should brand new startups implement a marketing automation system to start scoring users for future marketing automation? So should they actually start early on to score them?
No. I mean, again, like that, you have bigger fish to fry, you need money in the door, so it's very important. There's no point in scoring your database until you're over a certain amount. Again, if it's a windmill, yeah, you can have 100 prospects, but if it's a t-shirt company, wait till you have about 10,000 contacts before you start lead scoring. I wouldn't lead score manually, I would do predictive, which a lot of companies have predictive lead scoring, where with an algorithm they're able to find what a high-value potential prospect is versus no. And you can edit it, so it's not just a machine telling you.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily lead scoring makes sense at the early stage either, but I think you need to start experimenting with it. So look at which, you have to collect the data in terms of what attributes are interesting, and then look at what the customers that you do get in. What is it that defines them, and can you apply certain scores to them? You're probably not going to start out with the final lead scoring model. It's something that you're going to have to work on. But it's the learnings that's important here, not necessarily what it does for you, because that won't work unless you have volume. That's what lead scoring is for. But if you start at 10K and just think about who it is that's interesting, you might not have collected the data that's necessary to segment your database.
And with these famous words, I would like to give both of you a hand and say thank you.
We have a Christmas